Hi, my name is Lonnie, and this is the Live Williston channel, local issues, voices, and events for Williston, North Dakota. One of the events we have coming up in our community is Election Day on Tuesday, June 9th. So mark your calendars, and this video is one video in a batch of videos that deal specifically with the mayoral race. So I have one video on each of the four mayoral candidates with some observations and thoughts about that candidate. I generally break down each video into the pros and cons for that candidate, so I encourage you to check them all out as you decide who to vote for on June 9th. So that all said, in this video we are going to delve into Mason White and the pros and cons that I see. I just want to briefly mention that I did get to sit down with Mason for over an hour and talk with him as part of my preparation for this video. So that all said, Mason White, one of the positives that I see about him is that he is excited to learn and serve. He's been trying to learn some of the ways that I see his attempts to learn more, to equip himself if he is elected, is to attend many of the city commission meetings these last few years. He's begun talking with department heads and community members as well. Another positive is that he's a vocal advocate for better communication from the city to constituents. He has ideas of how to better educate the public when major changes are made, and also generally would like to increase transparency and promote open dialogue on the city commission. And also another positive is that he seems willing and able to invest the time needed to learn the ropes if elected. He currently works for Ballot, and he works specifically on the HVAC side of things, and apparently has communicated with his employer about how his employment arrangements would change if elected. And now shifting to a couple of the negatives that I see with Mason White. He is relatively young. He's in his early 30s. And as mentioned before, he did run for city commission a couple years ago, but has not served in that sort of position before. He is a current member of the Williston Downtowners Association board. And he also, from my conversation with him, music is really important to him, so he's served our community in a variety of ways through his music. However, when I look at his general work and service experience, I don't feel like his background really equips him to step into a position of this magnitude. Now, my basis for that, I guess I just want to mention the mayor, of course, does many things, from running the meetings, assigning portfolios to different commissioners to oversee various departments, and overseeing various departments. The mayor as well has a portfolio to oversee specific departments. The budget hearings, the mayor has a lot of input into all of the budget hearings. They do one budget hearing for each department head each year to prepare for the budget. And in addition to all of those regular duties, running city commission meetings, of course, if I didn't mention that, dealing with the public when different issues come up with the city of Williston and between the city and the public. But in addition to that, the city also regularly goes into executive session, and the three categories of things that the city commission can go into executive session for include personnel matters, contract negotiation, and litigation matters. And so when I think of electing someone to mayor, I want someone in those executive session meetings that really has a proven track record to be entrusted with that magnitude of decision making. So that all said, Mason himself and the sort of work experience that he mentioned he has out of high school, as I understand, he went to work for Ebel Electric or Ebel Integrators. I'm not sure which one it was at the time. And then and he was working on his journeyman license but didn't complete that, as I understand. And then he later did some work like in a daycare setting, running an after school program. At one point was doing some fast food work. His mother, I believe, has a dog grooming business, so at times he worked with her and learned the skills associated with that type of work. He worked in a medical marijuana shop here in town as well, and as mentioned, currently works at Ballot doing HVAC installations. So I in no way want to devalue the sort of work experience that Mason does have, but when I consider the sort of things that a mayor is tasked with, I feel like the sort of experience Mason has I don't think it would equip him to be effective in that role as mayor. Another drawback that I see with Mason, and I would say this is more speculative based on my intuition more than rooted in concrete fact, but just sitting down with him for an hour and a half or so, talking with him, asking him questions, it did seem like there were various things that he wasn't knowledgeable about, which I understand. There's so much with the city of Williston. You can't know it all. So I in no way fault him for that, but I did feel like there were some things that were more basic that he wasn't knowledgeable about. He was all ears, hungry to learn, open to hearing my perspective on things. But I also I guess I'm concerned. There's that openness to learn, that hunger to learn, but I think because there's not the experience and maybe the deeper convictions that come with experience, my concern is that he could be easily swayed by people who maybe want to steer the city in a direction that benefits them rather than the community as a whole. So that was one of my concerns with Mason as well. So that gives you a little bit more information about Mason White to consider. And I appreciate your time, and I encourage you to check out the other videos where I delve into the other candidates who are currently running for mayor of Williston, North Dakota. Thank you so much for your time.